everyone, or as they say in Texas, yeehaw, howdy partner. F1 is taking the circus all the way to one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, as it was actually the first F1 circuit that I went to all the way back in 2015 when I got this hat. But 10 years later, we have one hell of a show waiting for us. Can Verstappen continue his form in that Red Bull, beating both the McLarens? Can Mercedes capitalise on their pace they found in Singapore? Can Ferrari stop breaking their brakes? This is everything that you need to know for the COTA Grand Prix 2025. So as per usual with these videos, let's start off with any F1 news coming into this week that has happened since Singapore to COTA. And realistically, it's been a little bit of a quiet 2 weeks. But news-wise, we have had Alex Dunn, who has left the McLaren program. Basically, he's realised there's nothing really there for him. Piastri and Norris, young drivers, locked down at McLaren for quite a few years now. Unless anything drastic happens, they'll still be there. So Alex Dunn's looking for somewhere else to get an F1 seat. So what's most likely to happen is that he will stay in F2 for another year once Lindblad goes into that Racing Bull seat and he joins the Red Bull family. That is what potentially could happen. We'll see exactly what goes down with Alex Dunn. And then a slight little rumour, I can't really call it news, I might change it to rumours on top here, because it still is a rumour that Christian Horner is linked to Ferrari. Do I think he'll go there? Who actually knows? It's just links at the minute, but it's something to keep an eye on, because if Christian Horner goes to Ferrari, we've seen what he could do over at Red Bull. Obviously there has been some drama with Horner, which sort of started the downfall at his time at Red Bull. So we'll see if Ferrari would want to get involved with this. However, there are links and people are talking about it in news articles. So we'll have to wait and see what happens over there. And then quickly, before we head into the rest of the video, a quick little championship reminder for everyone out there. We head into COTA with the championship now less than a race win between Piastri and Norris, with Piastri leading over Norris by 22 points. However, we have the fast approaching Max Verstappen, only 63 points behind Oscar Piastri. Bear in mind, this is a very similar gap that Norris had to Verstappen in 2024. However, this time around, it's Verstappen. It's going to get very close and very juicy. However, without the actual title fight, Kimi Antonelli has solidified his 7th place in the championship after his 5th place in Singapore over Alex Albon not getting any points. And the only real big midfield battle left is between VCarb and Aston for 6th place, as Sauber, after their momentum has dropped off quite a bit, have sort of dropped out of this race. Now heading into the stats for the COTA Grand Prix, and we head into race wins first, and it is dominated by Sir Lewis Hamilton. You wouldn't expect anything less from a driver of his capacity, winning 5 races, the most of any F1 driver here. We also have Hamilton leading on pole positions with 3 to his name, and well, he completes the trifecta, leading with 255 laps led at COTA. Bear in mind, this is 150 more than anyone else. Closest rival would be Sebastian Vettel. And funnily enough, with all of these stats, you'll notice with tracks that get involved in the 2010s, they are dominated by Hamilton and Vettel, because Vettel is second in most of these stats. And we saw this also at tracks that we've just been to, like Singapore. Obviously, Singapore a little bit earlier than the 2010s, but again, dominated by Hamilton and Vettel. So hey, let's see if Hamilton can finally show something in that Ferrari. I mean, I think that's a bit more of Ferrari than Hamilton. However, you know, potentially a top 5, considering how well they did last season. All eyes on Lewis Hamilton once again. Now heading into your session information for the COTA Grand Prix, and well, it's not a normal race weekend. We have our first sprint race weekend for a long time, basically since Spa. Not basically, it has been since Spa. And well, what does that mean for everyone watching at home? Well, first of all, on the Friday, we have one practice session, one and only one practice session. That will be on the Friday, followed by the sprint quali on the Friday, just a little bit later on in the day. Then we head over to the Saturday, where we will have the actual sprint race and then the qualifying for the actual race, while Sunday, it's always just the race. Now looking at the full schedule ahead of this weekend, well, we actually only have the Porsche Super Cup, the North American one, heading into town. However, there's no F2, no F1 Academy, no F3, no F4. So it's all eyes on the F1 this weekend. So with that all said and done, let's now head over to your local weatherman, ZachGP. Hello everyone, it is ZachGP, your local weatherman cameraman at your service, only a small distance of 7,900 kilometers away from the track, just across the pond, ready to give your weather rundown for the entire weekend. And hey, I can tell you this time out, it's a pretty easy one to give. Heading into the Friday, we start off the weekend with temperatures looking around 28 degrees to around 32 degrees, with rain coverage looking around maximum 10%. It doesn't look like it's going to rain on the Friday, and hey, a little spoiler alert for the rest of the weekend, it doesn't look like it's going to rain anywhere on Saturday or Sunday as well. Then heading into Saturday for the weather, the temperatures start to heat up a little bit. Again, session times start around 28 degrees, potentially going up to 33, 34 degrees. And then very, very similar to the Sunday. However, it's a little bit in between the Friday and Saturday, starting off at 28 degrees, ending at 33 degrees. So it looks like it's going to be a very, very warm weekend. However, the rain, like I saw 10 years ago when I was there, is not going to happen. But I'll keep everyone alert in the comments down below if we get any differences in the weather for the rest of the weekend. So with that all said and done, let's head back to the studio. So heading into the ZachGP predictions for the COTA Grand Prix, where we start off with question 1, as always surrounding the podium for the actual race of the Grand Prix weekend. So not the sprint race shenanigans, just the actual race. And this time round, I haven't really gone anything too crazy in the sense of the top 3 probably will be these lot. However, the order of them I've gone a little bit more in the sense of this is how I would like it to go to make the championship more interesting. So first place Max Verstappen, second place Lando, third place Oscar Piastri. Basically everyone catching up a little bit to Oscar Piastri. Sorry Oscar Piastri fans out there. To spruce it up a little bit. Because honestly, how mental would it be if this was the final result? So this is my reasoning for going this top 3 in question 1. We might get a crash, who knows? We'll see what happens. But heading into question 2, I've gone more based on reality. For the sprint, realistically, all 4 of the big teams will get at least one driver scoring points. Only the top 8 score points, and I really do think it will just be someone like a Williams of an Albon or Hadjar or Alonso scraping in to get that 8th place to make it 5 teams in the sprint, who will finish ahead in the sprint. And I'm surprised that Hadjar was only 15 points. So I've gone for Isaac Hadjar, and the reason is we've seen Alonso, we've seen Hulkenberg. At tracks like this, I'd be surprised if Racing Bulls wasn't more on it than the likes of Aston, who we've seen is better at tracks like Singapore. So I really do think Hadjar's got this in the bag for this one. Question 4, who will take pole position? I've gone for Oscar Piastri. So that will mean Piastri will start first, Verstappen second, and Verstappen will actually take him. Who knows if this will actually happen, but Piastri, he needs to have a bounce back after Singapore, after the last few races. Maybe it could be now. Who will qualify the highest out of both Mercedes drivers and both Ferraris? Well, I'd be stupid not to go for George Russell, Mr. Consistent. After all of Ferrari's issues, I don't have as much faith in them as I did last year, so I think I have to go with George Russell as the safe bet. Question 6, who will finish ahead? And I'm surprised that Behrman is only 20 points. I don't really see how Bortoleto is 10 points. Yuki Tsunoda, I understand being there as well. However, for me, Behrman at 20 points, he has just as much of a chance as Bortoleto and Tsunoda to outperform them. So I'm very excited to see what Behrman can do, easily going for that 20 points there. Which team will score the most points this weekend? And I've gone with Mercedes over Ferrari and Red Bull. Ferrari just have had too many issues of recent. Red Bull, they just rely too much on Max Verstappen. Yuki, I doubt will score any points. Who will set the fastest pit stop? Status quo of using Ferrari. How many cars will complete the first lap? And I've gone boring. I do just think it will be all 20. I don't think we'll have a calamity crash. Maybe we'll have someone spinning or something like that. But because of how COTA is sort of laid out, if we do have a first lap incident, it normally does mean someone just gets punted off the track, but they can easily come back on. There's not too many gravel traps, and especially leading into the turn 1. Will there be a safety car, virtual safety car? And then I've also gone no here. The only way I see it happening is if we get a DNF from someone having an engine issue, etc. But I do think it's going to be quite a tame race weekend. So those are all my predictions for this race weekend heading into COTA. Remember, the best on the internet predictions. You know how we do it. Definitely not biased at all. But if you want to join an F1 Predicts League, make sure to head over to F1 Predicts and type in ZachGP. So we have 221 members right now. I'm 27th in it, so I'm trying to get into the top 20. That'd be quite fun. And also here is the link and the code. I'll be putting it down below. But anyway, let's get back to the end end of the video. And now we head over to the final part of the video, and I actually do have some sad news for a big channel member, a part of the ZachGP family, and sadly, Bear, my cat, my family cat, who would do the ZachGP analyst section of the videos, sadly he has passed away. So this part of the video this won't happen anymore, just because obviously, well, for obvious reasons, but I thought I'd share a little bit about Bear. We don't really know exactly what happened, and obviously I'll spare everyone the details because it's not the nicest thing to talk about. So instead, I want to share a little bit about him and some of my favourite photos of him. So for those of you who don't know, Bear actually was a stray cat before we had him. He got rescued by the Croydon Animal Samaritans, and we adopted him when he was 3 years old. Well, they give an estimate because with stray cats, you just never know how old they are. But they gave an estimate of that, so he'd been living as a stray for about 3 years. And then Bear himself, he was in the foster for a bit, and then we decided for my dad's 50th that we were going to get another cat, because for anyone who doesn't know out there, so as a kid, I actually grew up with 5 cats: P2, Eclise, Colette, Simba, and Scruff. But then about 5 years had passed, I'd say, since all of them passed away, and then we decided to get Bear. But yeah, we took Bear in, and he was a little bit timid when we first got him. I'll actually show a photo of one of the first photos I took of him. It's not the best photo of all time, but yeah, he used to hide under the bed for the first like month or two. Obviously a little bit timid because, you know, he didn't know who to trust, whatnot. But then eventually, after 2-3 months, he started to trust us. He started to sit on people's laps. He started to sleep with people. And he did have a little bit of a sass to him, I'll give him that. Like, he would try a swipe at you if you went past him by the stairs. Because, I don't know, he was quite a playful cat in his own way. He got tired quite quickly, but in the sense of, he liked to chase your hand, he liked to try grab you from the stairs, those sorts of things. But I think the thing he loved the most definitely had to be his food. He was obsessed with ham. I don't know why it was ham exactly, but every time you'd get out just that like sliced ham to put in a sandwich or something, he would go absolutely feral until you gave him a piece, and he'd try to snatch it. I mean, he'd try to eat anything. One time he gnawed through a donut. He used to try to lick butter as well every time that was out there. He'd try to get his paws on anything. But yeah, that's a little bit about Bear. So like I mentioned, I'll be retiring that part of the video. I might do some sort of track circuit layout in the stats side for next time round. But yeah, that sort of thing won't be happening anymore. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I know it ended on a bit of a sad note, but as always, I appreciate the love and support I get on these videos. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. In the comments down below, I'll be putting any more news down there, as we do have some Luke Browning stuff, but that's more for the Mexico everything you need to know. And if anything changes, like the weather or any news, I'll put it down there. But thank you all so much for watching, and hey, I'll see you all very soon for my next video. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, everyone.